welcome. So you're going to
the airport.
Yeah, that's airport. Okay.
Yeah.
You traveling?
Yeah, to New York.
Traveling to New York?
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna miss the sunshine.
It's the cold, I know.
I'm so sorry.
I know.
Alright. You live here or you live in...
No, I live in New York.
You live in New York?
No, my best friend lives here, so...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was a few days away.
The end of your holidays?
Yeah.
Sort of.
I did do the beach one day, so that's good.
Only one day?
Yeah, I came to like look at houses, so...
Oh. You're planning on buying?
Typical New Yorker that wants to come to Florida.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, like, you're ready to give up your job? Or are you in between jobs?
No,
or?
I work from home.
You work from home?
So I can work anywhere.
Oh, smart.
Yeah.
That's with the laptop. You work from the car as
I'm
well?
literally working right now.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
That's
a workaholic. So I was going to ask if you would mind me recording our ride for my YouTube channel.
Oh, sure. Okay.
But if you're gonna go work, then that's fine too, of course. No, I was just
gonna check the...
There's no problem with that either.
No, I don't need my phone's not even connected.
Check the YouTube channel.
Let's see. Oh my god. How long have you had this YouTube channel for?
I have it since mid-December. So January, February. Let's say 2.5 months.
Okay.
I got 100 subscribers.
Wow.
So,
okay.
you know, well, it's really in the beginning of things, but yeah, it's just a hobby.
Video editing is hard.
Yeah, it keeps me busy at night for sure.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Let me see, I'm checking it out right now.
Although, like these rides, like in this case, because it's one person in the car, then what I put over the other seat, I put like the front camera.
Okay.
Then lately I'm trying to add my own video to that as well. But I'm not sure if that's a good move or not. But anyway. Do you know anything about video editing?
I actually don't. So I work in social media.
Social media?
I do social media marketing.
Cool.
But I don't, outside of just kind of doing my own, I don't know, TikToks or something, like I don't really know much about video editing.
But you do your own TikToks?
Yeah, I mean, I play around with the platform.
Okay.
I try to kind of like stay updated as much as I can since it's my job.
It's your job, right? Right.
Yeah, so I kind of have to definitely know the platforms, and the best way to know them is to be on them, so.
That's true, right?
Yeah.
And so TikTok, that's only like 30 seconds or 60 seconds, like short bursts of something exciting that happens, right?
Yeah, I mean, TikTok right now is trying to do like episodes.
Okay.
So they're getting up to like 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I want to say like Paris Hilton is one that has like some episodes on there.
Oh, really?
So you can kind of, yeah, they're just starting to see what it's like.
Huh, interesting.
And it's interesting because YouTube is starting to do like
the other
short clips.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
they're all trying to integrate with each other eventually.
Well, yeah, they're all trying to copycat each other to get as much market share of video publishing that they can get, of course.
Correct.
And but it's interesting. So that means that I could potentially short rides like under 10 minutes. I could publish them to TikTok.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can definitely do that.
I could just do, because usually I don't accept rides under 10 minutes. Why? Because
really?
it's not good for YouTube.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. And actually you make a little bit better money with the shorter rides because you get more tips that way.
Okay.
And so that adds up over the day, you know. So it's better to do like 4 short rides in 1 hour instead of 1 long one.
So when you pick your ride, I know that it doesn't really tell you where you're going. No. You're just
it does,
like
actually.
The area. Now it does?
Yeah, it tells me. That depends on your classification within the app. So I'm a gold or whatever driver in the app. Then I can see where I have to pick you up and where you're going.
Oh,
and I can see how much money is being offered to me, and how long the ride is going to be, and how many miles, and how many minutes.
Oh, okay. So it's definitely adjusted, because I know when it first started, like, you wouldn't really know where you were going.
Right.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That gives people more flexibility. Yeah, I feel like that was, because I know when I first moved to New York, that was a lot of problems that a lot of the Uber drivers would have, or Lyft, or any of them, because they didn't know if they were going back into Manhattan, or they were able to kind of like go back into the other boroughs, which is maybe where they lived.
Right.
So they always kind of didn't like that, and they would reject. You would get a lot of ride rejections right when they would find out, which is when they would be picking them up.
Yeah, so I can see what's being offered, and then accept the ones that I like. Once I accept it, it's a no to cancel a ride. But that is really bad for my rating within the app. So I try to never cancel a ride, but I cannot accept a ride.
But I can.
You see?
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Interesting. And you've been doing how long?
Well, Uber I've been doing like for about 2 years or so.
Okay.
And it's like sort of like, it doesn't make a lot of money, but it's very flexible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have a couple of hours, you can just turn it on. If my son needs me, I turn it off, go do that. It's sort of flexible. But then again, you do need to make your hours, because you do need the money.
Right.
So you gotta. But for me, it's like a second job.
Right. I was gonna say, this is probably not your full time.
No.
Are you originally from Naples?
No, I'm from the Netherlands.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you lived here in Florida?
For 3 years.
Oh, recent.
Mm-hmm.
So during COVID?
Actually, in the beginning of COVID, we came here.
Okay.
And that was difficult. It was difficult to travel, and...
Right.
Yep.
Were you stuck here, or were you trying to go back, or no?
No, and then once we were here, we sort of got stuck. And then we decided to stay. That's how it went. Yeah. We weren't really here to stay right away.
Okay.
But my oldest 2 kids, they were going to college, and we decided it will be good for us to stay in the US.
Oh, where in college? What colleges?
We got our green cards. My oldest son studies in Los Angeles, and then my daughter is in Fort Collins in Colorado.
Oh, wow.
Studying. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you live in Florida.
And now we live in Florida because it's cheapest to travel everywhere. To California, to Colorado, to the Netherlands, and to the Caribbean, because my wife is from Haiti. So we need to go to all these places.
Okay.
And then Florida is the most central, cheapest place to fly from.
Oh.
That's how that went.
But I mean, Naples airport isn't that big, so it's a little bit more expensive than like living in Fort Lauderdale or something, or like another.
Right, that would have been actually a better choice, probably, like financially, especially like Naples is getting crazy expensive.
Yeah.
But we didn't want to be in Miami.
Right.
Now Fort Lauderdale would have maybe been a better option than this, but yeah, we selected Naples for some reason, and I thought Naples was cute. And honestly, 2 years ago, it was still sort of affordable.
Yeah, it was.
But it just exploded in the past year.
Right.
I'm not exactly sure why, but yeah, it's just so popular, I guess.
And I'm sure wherever you're living is like way cheaper than what it is now. Like you got it for way more economical at its time.
Well, so we're renting, and the rent got doubled, and that's why I'm driving an Uber.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like when you're a foreigner, you cannot right away get a mortgage. You have to first pay taxes for 2 years. And then once you can show 2 years of tax payments, then your tax receipts, then you can get a mortgage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't have cash for like $500,000 to buy a home here.
Right, of course. Who does?
Yeah, right.
Oh, wow.
But you're looking into a home.
Yeah, so I'm originally, I was born in Ecuador.
Oh, okay.
And then I moved to Pembroke Pines, which is like right by Fort Lauderdale. And I pretty much grew up there. And then
okay, so you know Florida.
yeah, I know Florida very well. I went to college in Orlando, and then after that I was kind of done with Florida for a little bit. So I worked in advertising.
You studied advertising as well?
Yeah, I studied communications.
Okay.
And marketing, and then I mean social media at its time didn't exist, so I didn't know my job didn't exist back then.
Right.
So no, I wasn't studying for social media. I just kind of ended up in it. And then yeah, I worked at the top #1 agency in Florida, which is called Zimmerman. It's in Fort Lauderdale.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I felt there wasn't anywhere else to go since it was the highest known in all of Florida. So I just decided to move to New York. And I went there with 0 job security, 0 like dollars, and just kind of I lied to like my parents and everyone that I got a full-time job, and I did not. And I just like went up there, and it's worked out ever since.
And you started looking and you find a job?
Well, I found a job, but they only hired me for a 3-month contract.
Okay.
And then once I got there, I sold my parents' car to pay my first month's rent, and I gave them my car because my car was paid off. So I paid first month's rent with that. Then I worked the 3 months, and the roommate that I had, she just had to kind of trust me to sign a year apartment lease.
Okay.
And I told her I would figure it out. After the 3 months, they extended me to 6 months, and then another 3 months. So they kind of kept, which was great.
Right.
But I, as a contractor, you don't get paid holidays, you don't get paid time off. So I couldn't do it. So then eventually, once I racked up a year, I decided to leave.
Okay. But you sure did made a jump in the deep.
Yeah.
Like without being able to swim.
Yeah.
Basically.
100%.
Wow.
By the time I had a
guts.
full-time job a year later, then I decided to tell everyone that I had lied to them.
Yeah.
So
now it's okay for them to know, since this is on YouTube.
It's okay for them to know, yeah. And I left. Yeah, I mean, I just kind of worked at
After
another
a year,
agency.
you left. Okay.
I wanted to get experience, but I always knew I wanted to go back to that agency. Like
To Zimmerman?
No. So that agency that gave me the opportunity for New York was called Razorfish.
For the what?
Razorfish. So like a razor and a fish.
What is that?
That's an advertising agency. That's just the name.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So after Zimmerman, I went to Razorfish.
Okay.
And then that's the one that gave me the contract and all that stuff. And then after that, I left. I worked in another agency, but I always wanted to go back to Razorfish. I don't know why. I just always thought it was a great company, but they had a lot of structural company changes.
Okay.
So they weren't really looking to hire people full time. They wanted to keep doing contractors, and I couldn't do it anymore. So yeah, I mean, I kind of took a leap of faith, worked in something else. I had racked up a couple of years of experience on my previous jobs.
Sure.
But I decided to take another entry-level job to learn another part of social media.
Okay.
So my pay went down, like everything was completely freshly new. But in my head, I said I'll always do all these things so that I can go back to Razorfish. And pandemic hit. I was already, I want to say, 5 years of living in New York. And then pandemic hit, and I came to my parents' house for 2 weeks. And I ended up staying a year.
Yeah. Doing what though?
The same. So everything was remote now. So
okay.
everyone was working from home. So I was still at my job.
So you still work for Razorfish?
So after COVID, I went back to Razorfish. There was jobs in between. And then life just brought me back to Razorfish, which I always knew I wanted to go back. So that was interesting. But yeah, I was at my parents for a year. for the first couple of months was, I mean, I had lived on my own for 5 years, so going back to your parents' house, it's like your parents, your brother, the dog, like,
oh my goodness.
plus you gotta take meetings. Oh my god, that was insane. So you would take meetings and then they're all screaming and
doing their own thing and running after the dog.
And they just never realized that, like, I'm coming back home, but I'm now a professional.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I need my space.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, after that happened, I was there for a couple of months.
So, wait, so where were your parents?
My parents
Still in
live
Fort Lauderdale?
in Pembroke Pines.
Pembroke Pines,
Fort Lauderdale,
still.
yeah.
Same house, okay.
Yeah, they're still there.
Wow.
Yeah, I was visiting them before I came to Naples, so I drove from there. But yeah, I mean, I was there for a while, and then I met my now boyfriend during COVID.
Okay. Where did you meet him, in New York or here?
I met him in Florida.
In Florida, okay.
And yeah, I decided to break like COVID because I was driving to New York the next day. I was driving to New York so I can take out all of the stuff from my apartment,
Sure.
and put it in a storage, and maybe, you know, one day I'll come back when COVID is over. You know, we all thought COVID was going to be over. And then, yeah, a couple months later, I decide, you know what, maybe I should move to Florida. I saved up a lot of money living on my parents, so I had enough money for a down payment for a home.
Sure.
And then right when I go to New York I went back to New York so I can move out everything to Florida. I gave things away. I, you know, just kind of threw things away. 2 months after I give my whole life away in New York, my boyfriend's job transfers him from Miami to
New York.
JFK.
JFK. Can you believe it?
So now I went back to New York.
Yeah. That's how you went back to New York?
So I went back to New York.
And that's about a year ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But now you're thinking of moving here anyways.
Well,
because you were looking into homes.
Yeah, I always wanted to be back. I also said, I mean, when I moved to New York, I said I'll be there for a year, 2 months. But it's the cold. And after COVID, it got really unsafe.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. Not New York.
Yeah, there's a lot more homeless with a lot more like mental problems that like no one has really, you know, kind of tried to help them. And the more they don't help them, the more they develop, and then the more drugs there are, the more this, the more that. So it's it's just like not safe anymore. I definitely have pepper spray. I have.
Oh really?
Yeah, I have everything.
You don't feel safe?
No. In a city where I was living on my own for 5 years, I didn't really know anybody, and it's a huge city. I was okay with doing everything, and now that I live with my boyfriend, I live in a nicer area than I did back then because I couldn't afford anything. I now feel more unsafe.
You feel more unsafe?
Unsafe.
That's so weird.
Yeah. So I'm just, and I think I'm done paying rent to make someone else rich. I think I'm like done with that. I've done it for so long, and New York rent is not cheap, so yeah, I want a full-size closet. I want laundry in an apartment. There's a lot of little things that I want that I haven't had in a long time, so yeah.
The comforts of life, right?
Yeah, we're kind of house hunting, so we'll see. I mean,
but so buying a home then in New York? Not here.
No.
You are looking to buy a home here?
Here.
But then in Fort Lauderdale?
In Fort Lauderdale, yeah.
Not in Naples?
You know what it is? If I work from home and if my boyfriend worked from home, I feel like we would live in Europe by now.
He does? Oh,
no,
right.
He is an airplane mechanic. So he does not work from home. He works outside.
That doesn't work being a mechanic
Yes.
online.
So he works outside in the freezing cold.
But he may prefer working on site in the blazing heat.
Right.
Where is he from?
So he's from Venezuela, but was also raised in Pembroke Pines. We just never knew each other.
But being Latino,
Yeah.
he may be able to stand the heat pretty well. And like it better than the cold in New York.
So he had worked in Miami International Airport for maybe like 6 years as like the baggage.
Sure.
He did that as his like part-time job while he was in college and all that. So he already loves the heat and just likes being able to be outside. So he prefers that over, I mean, I don't know, I think most people prefer that over being in 20-degree weather. And,
I would think so.
yeah.
So can he find a job here in Fort Myers Airport?
No, it's too small.
Too small?
Yeah. He works for American Airlines. And there's not that many flights that do American Airlines, yeah. So
and none in Naples Airport.
Yeah, so he's on a waiting list for Miami, but looks like everyone during COVID decided to move to Miami, so there's no open positions. They're actually completely over flooded.
But American is actually very big in Miami.
Exactly.
So
and that's how packed they are because they're that big.
Amazing, yeah.
So he's like number 50 something on a waiting list.
And how fast does that go? Like 25 a year?
I don't know. It's very unpredictable. Like the way that maybe he would be able to get in, and it is if there was maybe like a wave of certain amount of people that retire, then they need a certain amount of people, right? But yeah, I mean,
it's funny, people always complain that there's not enough people with trade skills, you know, but yeah, it's understandable that everybody moving to Florida,
exactly,
there's a lot of flight mechanics than here and not elsewhere.
So yeah, I mean,
yeah,
and he really likes American Airlines. He's been working there now for 8 years.
Sure.
So he doesn't want to leave.
No, that's understandable. It's good to stick to a company once you're happy.
And they have really good benefits. A lot of people don't know all of the benefits that the airlines give you.
So do you get to fly for free?
I do.
No.
Yeah.
Get out of the car now. Jeez.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
It's any kids that we have get to fly for free until they're like 24.
That is gold.
Yeah.
That is golden.
Yeah.
Because here's the picture. 20 years from now, you have the kids leaving the home and they're all over the United States. You need to visit all of them.
Yeah.
Once you're in your 40s or 50s. And you'll be needing those tickets.
Yeah, so it's definitely life-changing. I mean, I used to travel a lot before I met him. But I was a complete spirit person. I don't care what the flight looks like. I don't care if I have to fly it myself. I just need to get to the destination. So I did not care for comfort. But now that I fly American Airlines for free,
you can upgrade, pay a little upgrade.
Oh.
Yeah,
such
right?
a difference.
You can pay to upgrade?
I don't have to pay. I can fly first class if it's available for free. Yeah.
Again, get out. Jeez. How wonderful for you.
It's a pretty like cool.
It's nice. Yeah. Way of flying. Yeah.
I think only when I first started being on the benefits, it was COVID, so people were still really scared to fly. I flew first class for a whole year.
Wow.
And then when people started flying again, I was like, oh, I have to be in the back now. So that was really interesting. But yeah, I mean, my boyfriend has probably flown to like every continent at this point. I think the only one he's missing is Africa. You
guys are making plans also for holidays in Europe and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely like in November it was our anniversary and we decided 24 hours before, let's go to Spain, and then we did.
Wait, this is your first year anniversary, right?
No, it was our second.
A second, oh, okay.
Yeah, so
you went to Spain?
We went to Spain.
No.
Yeah, we've done we do a lot. Well, I wasn't supposed to be here right now, and we decided this Friday night to come and look at a house. So yeah, it's pretty wild how that can work. But also, I'm in Naples because this is the bad part, right? All of the flights out of Miami are terrible. There's 0 available seats for me to fly on standby, because I only fly if there's an available seat, right? If there's an empty
really?
seat.
That's how that works?
That's how it works.
Oh.
I mean, if not, then...
But that means that sometimes, like, how do you know in advance whether there's going to be a seat available?
So each airline has its own application that tells you how many available confirmed people have, bought a seat, how many empty seats there are, and it tells you by business class, by first class, by regular, and so you're able to, and then once you check into the flight, which you can do 24 hours before, you're able to see the standby list. So there are certain things that you can use as an emergency pass. You only get a certain amount of a year.
Okay.
And an emergency pass, you get bumped up to the top of the list. Then there's regular standby, which is what I normally fly. I don't like to use my emergency passes unless I need to.
Right.
Then you're on a regular. But if you don't check in 24 hours on the dot, you might be like the second or third or fourth. Like, you have to do it on the dot in order to beat someone else who's also trying. And then from there, his parents also get a status, and they're at the bottom of regular. So you get to see all that. So the past 3 days or 3 days that we've been trying to leave back to New York, every flight has been 0 available seats or negative available seats.
Oh, so you've been trying to go back to New York?
I've been trying to go back to New York for the past 3 days.
Oh my goodness.
And I don't know if I'm going to make this flight.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. But you checked in, they accepted you.
So, and this is where it's interesting. So I couldn't fly out of Miami because there was no available seats. So then American Airlines and JetBlue have a co-share. So they share the same routes.
Okay.
So because they have that, I can also fly standby on JetBlue. I don't fly for free, but I just pay the taxes.
Oh, okay.
So maybe less than $50. So then I looked at every flight from JetBlue from Florida to New York. I looked at West Palm Beach. I looked at Fort Lauderdale. Nothing. Everything was coming. And what's the bad part about it is because I'm not a JetBlue employee, I'm at the bottom of the barrel.
Oh yeah.
So everyone else is at the top, and I will be at the very bottom. So right now, so there was a good seat to leave out of here. So thankfully my best friend lives here. I drove from Miami yesterday. And I also, I'm working, so I can only fly at a certain amount of times, before or after work. So I'm going right now to the airport to try to get on a flight to LaGuardia. Yesterday there was 2 available seats, and there were 2 people, someone and me. And now there's 0 available seats, and we're still the 2 people. So I don't know.
Oh, there's 0 available seats.
Yeah.
And you didn't get picked.
Well, you don't get picked until everyone is boarded already. So I am the last person.
You have to sit
I have to sit
at the gate.
Yeah.
And then see if there's an available seat. Oh, that is not so.
Exactly. So there's
great.
Pros and cons, right? Not everyone will be able to do it. I don't think everyone will be able to fly like that. And it's happened to me where I've almost been stuck in another airport or another city, or I almost got stuck in Aruba 3 weeks ago.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's not a bad place to get stuck.
That's not a bad place to get stuck in, but I didn't bring my work laptop, so I had to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's adventurous though.
It's very adventurous, very spontaneous.
And it's very spontaneous. And if you don't have to be somewhere on the dot, then life is an adventure.
So this flight leaves at 6:30.
It's an hour.
And so this is the fun part, right? I'm gonna get to the airport. I'm gonna check in my bag, and I almost never travel with a checked bag because you'll never know if you'll get on a flight or not, and they cannot be taking out your bag just because So I'm checking in a bag because there were 2 seats, but now there isn't. So I brought a whole bunch of. My mom brought goodies from Ecuador, so I have them all in my bag. So I am checking in my bag, but right now there's 0 available seats in the LaGuardia flight. But because I'm American Airlines, I don't see how many seats there are on the other flights.
Okay.
But it just shows like a red, a green, and like a yellow status. So green means there's available seats, plenty. They don't tell you the number, but just
at least one.
Yellow is maybe there's 1 or 2, and then red is there isn't.
Okay.
So right now my LaGuardia flight turned red because now I know that there's 0 available seats because I'm checked in. But there's a flight to JFK that leaves 4 minutes after this flight that's yellow. So now I'm gonna go to the gate and ask them what's the best way I can get home, and if they can transfer me because there's seats, then they'll transfer me, and hopefully that helps. If not,
and that happens at the gate, the transfer.
I have to get there at the gate because they see it in their system. I can't see it. So
that is an adventure.
Yeah. So I mean, my best friend right now was like, "Let me know if I'll see you in a bit." I'm like, "Yep."
I was just gonna say like, "Hey, I'll wait for you and I'll give you a ride back."
Yeah.
I need to go back to Naples. That's where I'm from.
Yeah, I won't know until 6:30 that my flight takes off. Yeah. So the way that and thankfully I have TSA pre-check, so I'm always like.
Oh, of course.
I don't have to be at the airport for so long because I know that I'm going to be the last person boarding.
That's very adventurous. When are you guys going to get married? Did he propose yet?
Soon.
Oh, really? Did he propose?
He has not.
He has not.
But we just went through a miscarriage.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
A miscarriage. So we are, now that we've gone through like as much
you
like
just mentioned
hardship.
it like that?
I think miscarriage is such a common thing, and a lot of people don't talk about it. So the more I talk about it, the more I feel better, and the more I talk about it, someone somewhere will not feel alone because I feel really alone.
Oh.
As a woman, you feel broken because you can't hold a baby. So once I went through it, then I had, then the doctor decides to tell me, "Oh, this is common." I'm like, "Really?" Then I start reading statistics. It happens to like 3 in every 5, like a lot.
A lot of women have that.
A lot of women.
Huh. Is that because it's the first baby? It happens more often?
First baby. Honestly, I think it's just.
And at what age of the baby did that happen?
At 13 weeks.
13 weeks? Wow, that's a
So right when I'm supposed to be off like the miscarriage, because miscarrying happens, you're on high alert the first trimester. Because your body's getting used to it.
Sure.
This is what I've learned, right? So your body's getting used to it, and whenever you hurt your body, whenever you do anything to your body tries to do everything to reject it, right? So it doesn't affect you. I think that's why miscarriages happen, and I've read a lot into it that it's just your body doesn't know what's going on.
Isn't ready yet.
So I would think that it happens in the first. I'm learning, or now I learned that there's a lot of people that it's happened to. At the time, I had no idea.
Oh well, that's still 3.5 weeks or so.
So
that is
right after that, then your chances decrease a lot, and then. I mean, there's cases where they lose it the day of. Like it's. But the probability
of that. And
thank you.
I would almost want to say my condolences. Because
I mean,
you had a living child in you.
Yeah.
And he or she will come with the next chance.
Yes.
Right?
See, I don't have a YouTube channel, but I did a podcast on what happened to me.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to link to that?
It's on Spotify.
Can you write it under
Yeah.
your name?
I can do that. Yeah, my friend has a podcast called Taboo,
Okay.
and I mean it's a taboo subject.
Such a nice name for a podcast.
Yeah, so
Right.
she just kind of asked me if I wanted to be in the podcast, and
Sure.
it was a good like healing experience for me.
I can imagine.
So yeah, it was.
Well, thank you so much for sharing this with a stranger.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I really it's interesting because it's such a common thing for me to mention because I went through it and I don't mind, but I've learned that sometimes people don't know how to react to me just casually saying it.
That's why I was a little blown away, and I mentioned it.
Yeah.
That
I think the
you
more
were telling
I do
a
it, I
story,
sort of,
and part
like,
of that
want-
story was like that.
Mhm.
And I thought, wait, what? What did you just say?
Yeah, I just want to be able to like normalize it, you know?
But it is, right?
Yeah.
It is part of life, I
It's
guess, that these things can happen. And but it's still something you have to go through. And you said it very beautifully, like that you felt alone after that happened.
Yeah,
I
it's
can
a
imagine.
very lonely feeling.
Yeah.
It's lonely because as much as you and your partner can be as close as possible and connect as much as possible, but your partner's never gonna know what like. And I think one of my really good friends the other day was trying to understand that because he said, why is it that you felt alone? And I said, well, you feel alone, one, because I didn't know anybody that went through it.
Okay.
So that made me feel alone in itself. But number two, my boyfriend works night shifts. So my boyfriend leaves the house 8 p.m., comes back 8 in the morning. I have a whole day, during the day. So whenever he would leave, I would have dinner by myself. I would, whatever I was doing by myself. When I found out I was pregnant, I wasn't by myself. I would talk to the baby. I would, like put on music for the baby. And it got to a point where I already started showing a little bit. So I would put headphones. Like, all these things, and I would talk to the baby. You just sit there and you just talk to your stomach, and it's such an interesting thing to say, but that's what you do.
Yeah, but there is a spirit there, and so you're not alone anymore at that point.
Exactly. So I wasn't alone.
Exactly.
So the minute that is out of my body, not only do I feel alone because I feel I'm the only person in the world that had a miscarriage, which obviously wasn't true, but now I'm like physically alone.
Yeah.
So I think that was the first time that like my friend really understood kind of what I meant by saying that I felt alone. But yeah, I mean it's just something that it's normal. It happens, and I'm not afraid to talk about it.
I can tell.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And do you also believe that he or she will come again?
Yes. I really believe that I have like an angel over me because I've had a lot of crazy things happen to me with all this flight stuff. Like for example, Aruba. When I went to Aruba, I decided to do JetBlue. I was, I think, number 10 on a list, and there was only maybe 1 or 2 seats. I show up to the airport and I missed 2 flights, meaning there wasn't seats available for me. So I'm sitting there, and then I make friends with someone, and she goes, there's one flight out of Boston but there's not that many seats, blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay. It was just casual conversation. I randomly decide, you know what, I'm going to Boston. I go to Boston within 10 minutes of knowing. I get to Boston, I go to the counter for Aruba, and this girl is there. So I'm like, hi, how are you, whatever. We're the last people to board. There were 2 available seats. Perfect. She gets it, I get it, we get on, great. And then, and I also that week was feeling really down about the baby stuff because it was my first time having to be in a bathing suit after like all this stuff, and like, you know, it's you go through a lot of emotions. But the reason why I believe I have like an angel looking over me, I get my seat, I sit down in the chair, and I'm, you know, ready to leave. And then they come back in and they say, we need the last person that got on standby to get out because we need their seat. So I lost my seat.
Oh, shoot.
Everyone boards and they pretty much take me out the plane. They go, sorry, the flight attendant seats, because, you know, they have their own designated like seats. Those weren't working, so the flight attendants have to sit in the regular passenger seats. I get it. Which means we lose 2 seats. Right. So I get out and I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah. And that was the last flight to Aruba for the day. Oh, really? So that was it. I was going home. No, right. My boyfriend was already in Aruba. All my friends were in Aruba. And like that was my last flight. So I get out and I'm all, you know, it felt like a walk of shame. Like I'm all sad. I get out. And I'm like sitting outside of the counter. I'm like talking to my boyfriend on the phone. I'm like, what do I do? I mean, I need, and I'm like crying, whatever. And I'm just like not, because at this point I'm like, well, I guess I'm not going to Aruba. And somehow, some way, like Angel, the captain of the plane, mind you, I don't know these people. It's a JetBlue flight, so I'm not even American Airlines employee. Like they have no relation to me or my standby. The captain decides to call maintenance and delay the flight to get one of those chairs fixed so that I could get on the flight. No. And it happened. No. Yeah. How? Why would he do that? Yeah. I mean, when I got back on the plane, literally the people in the plane were just clapping that I made it back on. No. Yeah. Everybody. I have never walked down an airplane like aisle and everyone's just. Of course, there was that one person that was like, "Okay, sit down. We want." I'm like, okay. Yeah. But they, you know, one person out of everyone else clapping. And I was the last seat by the bathrooms. And so you had to go through the whole aisle. So I had to go through the whole aisle. They were delayed like, but how special 30, is that? 40 minutes. That the captain delays a plane to have a seat fixed for one person that needs to go on the plane. For one person. For one person. I don't even know them. I had never even seen the guy's face. There is definitely an angel on your shoulders. Yeah, I was like, oh my god, I have an angel. Yeah. And I made it to Aruba. Yeah, no, for sure. Because that normally does not happen, right? Yeah, that would. But this was so important. Was in shock. Exactly. That you had to be in Aruba. Yeah. You had. That holiday was very special. Yeah. And somebody made sure that you got on that plane. For sure. Wow, what a story. I've had a lot of like, you know, occasions where the only thing I can think of is there's an angel. And oh, you have a lot of occasions? I've had I mean, this was probably by far the craziest thing that has happened to me within the past month. Oh, just the past month, right? Yeah, this happened to me in the past month. But wow. I've definitely had some weird scenarios like this. I mean, even the whole miscarriage story, like, if you want to hear it on the podcast, like, even that, how that happened is crazy. Like, I ended up having to go to Ecuador to get the body taken out because no one would see me in New York. No one would see me in Florida. What? They just, like, wanted me to wait a week and a half with a dead baby inside. What? Like, and thankfully I have. Are you serious? Yeah. And how, you were 100% sure that the baby was dead? Yeah, they had confirmed it at the hospital. They had already confirmed it? They had confirmed it at the hospital. And then they said I had gone in for like separate tests, and they just said your doctor will, it's JetBlue. I don't know where. At the end. Okay. And then they said your doctor will call you to get the process of, you know, taking out the body. And I'm like, okay. My doctor didn't call me till like 3 weeks and a half later to bill me. My doctor's office called me to bill me for the last appointment. And I mean, I lost it. And I was like, no, my baby's dead. Goodbye. So I'll pay my medical bills eventually, but I'm not at the state to do that right now.
Wow, what a story.
Yeah, so definitely have a little angel. So
well,
if my angel persists, I will make it to New York today.
If you have to be in New York, you'll make it to New York today.
If I have to be in New
If
York,
it's better for you to be in Florida,
then I'm staying.
you'll get another ride back on YouTube back to Naples.
Exactly.
Nice to meet you,
Thank you so
Michelle.
much.
All right.